Hey everybody, Josh Peck here. Hope you're doing well. Well, there's a chance we might have to go through it all over again. I really hope not, and we all need to pray against this, but it does say in the end times there's going to be pestilences and things like that. We went through a global pandemic just a few years ago, and now it seems like there are powerful people preparing for another one. And it makes you wonder, is it a preparation or is it a planning? We're going to get into all that today. And also, if they're, in either case, whether it's preparation or planning, what's the most likely candidate right now for what the pandemic could be? I think that there is one on the table. We've talked about it before. We'll talk about it here in case you're not familiar. So before we get to today's stories, make sure you subscribe, click the bell to turn on all notifications. And right now our biggest outreach to just the general world is unfortunately YouTube. We're trying to build up Rumble, and I'm posting videos on X and Facebook and all that, but those get a couple of hundred, few hundred maybe views. People just don't go to those platforms to view videos. Well, they do Rumble, but I found it very difficult to grow on Rumble, and I don't believe that that's anything Rumble's doing wrong. It's just not as many people use Rumble as use YouTube. The unfortunate thing about YouTube is it's just censorship and shadow banning, which we're going through. This channel, Daily Renegade, is still going through shadow banning and censorship. I have over, I don't know, something like, it's over 50,000 subscribers supposedly. But very few of my videos actually almost none of them ever break even 10,000 views. Of course, I'm grateful for whatever we can get, but there's a severe disconnect there. When I first started on YouTube, and when I had 50,000 subscribers, there were videos that would just blow up out of nowhere. It was a lot more. It was easier to predict what the algorithm was going to do. And now you just don't know. You never know. You don't even know if you're being banned. They don't always tell you. And this while YouTube hasn't told me anything, it's just obvious this channel is being shadow banned. So the best thing that you can do to combat against that is to go to dailyrenegade.com and get a subscription there. That's the best thing that we can all do. I highly suggest you do that. I would love to make dailyrenegade.com the primary source for reaching out to people, but we're not there yet, so we need everybody's help. But anyway, and especially with what might be coming, because we remember what happened during the last pandemic. Major censorship. This is actually what caused me to create dailyrenegade.com. There was major censorship across all social media. Nobody could say anything. They kept claiming that we were all giving misinformation, which later came out we were telling the truth. They were lying. And so it makes us wonder if we're headed to that again because of this story that this comes from WorldNet Daily, and the headline is, "Getting Ready for the Next Pandemic. World Health Organization quietly coordinates large-scale simulation with 31 countries." So what is that all about? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, and again, this is why we need places like Daily Renegade so bad. Because of the censorship, because we're not going to be allowed to exercise our freedom of speech. These people who are running these companies don't hold to American values and the way that we do. And yes, the argument is they run their own company, they can handle it however they want, they can do whatever, fine. But the actual American values aren't there. So they're gonna censor this kind of stuff. Typically a video like this should get hundreds of thousands of views, but it won't. So that's why we all need a place censorship-free where we can view these videos, we can get the information, we can talk amongst each other. Daily Renegade has all that, so please go sign up at dailyrenegade.com. So let's get into this story. This is from WorldNet Daily, as you can see. And says think it's over. It's not. They're already rehearsing the sequel. So the World Health Organization in December quietly coordinated a large-scale pandemic simulation that involved 31 countries and areas that was framed by HWO itself as getting ready for the next pandemic, reports White House correspondent Natalie Winters. So just look at the phrasing there, preparing for the next one, as if it's already a given there's going to be a next one. Now, typically we heard something when the last one was going on, we heard that we were due for a global pandemic because you get one about every, what was it, 120 years, 100 years, something like that. And that fell in that time frame. Okay, fine. Well, we're only, 6 years outside of that? 6 to 8 years? Something like that? So they're already getting ready for the next pandemic. And I believe, based on everything that happened last time, that this is not just preparation, but there might be something more going on behind the scenes. So Winters, who's a co-host of Steve Bannon's War Room, said, quote, "That phrase was not commentary. It was the official title and purpose of the exercise." So the WHO publicized the exercise on Facebook saying, quote, "Getting ready for the next pandemic. 31 countries and areas from across the Western Pacific participated in an IHR exercise, Crystal, to test their readiness for future health emergencies." So here's a picture here. It says officials plan for the next pandemic in December 2025. This is an actual photo from the World Health Organization. And it says, "Simulations offer a much-needed opportunity to evaluate, refine, and iron out coordination challenges and practice teamwork before a real crisis hits," end quote. Now, I would love to just believe that they're just preparing. They're just being responsible. They're just saying, hey, in case this happens again, let's make sure that we know exactly what we'll do, since last time was such a mess and maybe we were caught off guard. I would love to believe that. And, if people like you and I were in charge, that's probably what it would be. Of course, that's what it would be. But the people that are running this stuff, the way that we saw it happen last time, clearly they don't have regard for human life. They don't care about us. And with all of the lies and all the actual misinformation that came out, not from us, people reporting on it, we were telling the truth, but from the actual officials in charge, all the misinformation, and then all the censorship, trying to shut people like me up and people like you, banning people on social media, the government putting pressure on social media companies to censor us, seeing how they behaved, how they acted, all the people in charge, not just the World Health Organization, but just everybody in charge who made all these decisions. Because of that, we can't really give them the benefit of the doubt anymore, and we shouldn't have even the first time. And I know many of us didn't, but we can't really. We can't really give them the benefit of the doubt of just saying, okay, well, they're just being prepared. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, right? So this makes me wonder, do they already know something? Because there is a candidate for what could be the next pandemic, and it is horrifying, and it's so much worse than the first one. We're going to get into that in a little bit. So this is from the World Health Organization, Western Pacific region on Facebook, and look at the excitement here. They got a flexing arm, getting ready for the next pandemic! ! Like they're all excited about it. 31 countries from across the Western Pacific participated in IHR exercise. Crystal, okay, we already read that, but looks like there's a fly in here. But look at the attitude around it. It's like they're all excited and happy and proud of themselves. They're posting pictures. They're having a good time. It's all about the optics of this. So it says, Winters says the event took place over several weeks in December and simulated the emergence of a novel respiratory illness with the potential for international spread. Participating governments were not asked to discuss theory. They were asked to respond in real time to alerts, verify information, conduct risk assessment, and coordinate actions across agencies. And sometimes governments, local governments, they do these simulations, and it's for preparedness. But again, look what happened last time. Are we really just to believe that they really just have our best interest at heart and they want to make sure everyone's okay? They want to make sure that they're prepared, as if they have that level of humility to realize that maybe they're not. I don't buy it. And by all means, if I'm wrong or if you've got some opinion of your own, feel free to leave it in the comments. I would love to know what you think, or if you agree, and I'd love to know what you think. Let me know why. But it says the description proffered by the WHO stressed Crystal was planned to examine how nations would operate during an emerging outbreak, not afterward. So officials highlighted real-time information sharing, multi-sectoral coordination, and decision-making under pressure. The framing is notable, said Winters. WHO did not describe the drill as preparation for a hypothetical scenario. It repeatedly referred to readiness for the next pandemic. Again, the language is like this is already a done deal. We already know there's going to be a pandemic. This is what it sounds like. So it's not just preparation for a hypothetical scenario, but it's readiness for the next pandemic, as if it's already a done deal. This looks like it's from Vigilant Fox on X. Report, the WHO just ran full-scale simulation for the next pandemic, and 31 governments playing along. This wasn't some tabletop drill. It lasted weeks, triggering real-world airport and border systems, and modeled a fast-moving respiratory outbreak with global reach. Let's see if we can play this video.
Well, the WHO just ran a pandemic simulation. 31 governments took part. We'll tell you all about how that relates to Epstein yet again in a moment, but first let's go through this article. This is from Natalie Winters on Substack. WHO just ran a simulation for the next pandemic and 31 governments took part. In December 2025, the World Health Organization quietly coordinated a large-scale pandemic simulation across the Western Pacific region. The exercise, known as IHR Exercise Crystal, involved 31 countries and areas that was framed by the WHO itself as a getting ready for the next pandemic.
All right, this is kind of stuff we already covered. I'm gonna see if I can skip ahead, see where that Bill Gates stuff is. Let's see if we can find it. Now we're gonna have buffering issues because I skipped ahead. Let's see, is this going to work? No, it doesn't look like it. All right, that's fine. Well, you can go to the WND article and you can find it there if you want to watch the full video. But it says, again, this wasn't some tabletop drill. It lasted weeks, triggered real-world airport and border systems, and modeled a fast-moving respiratory outbreak with global reach. Think it's over? It's not. They're already rehearsing the sequel. So that's the story from WorldNet Daily. Man, I'm kind of bummed out that this video won't play. I've been having a lot of internet issues today. Anyway, so the question then is, well, what would be some candidates for the next pandemic if it's already a done deal? And there's one that's in the headlines a lot. We've talked about it a little bit, but we'll get into that. But before we do, it's not just pandemics and things like that are, we're told prophetically is going to happen. There's a lot of issues with the economy, and a great way to help defend against that is to invest in something more stable than the U.S. dollar. So because of that, I do that. My wife and I, we invest in this, and it's really good. There's only one company I trust. There might be other good companies out there, but I wouldn't take a chance. There's only one that I trust, and it is Cornerstone. Here is all the information.
Hey everyone. Concerning the economically unstable times that we live in, it is a great idea to convert some of your savings into real money. Now, there is a big difference between real money and what we call money, which is actually currency. So our dollar is currency, which fluctuates. Real money, like silver, is a store of value over time. The best way to think of it is like this. If you had saved $1,000 in cash back in the late 1960s, that $1,000 would still be $1,000 $1,000 today, but it would buy you significantly less today due to inflation. Now, if you saved that same $1,000 in silver back in the 1960s, it would be around $28,000 today. So one of the best ways to protect your purchasing power is in real money, more specifically, silver. Now, you can buy and have the metal shipped discreetly to your door, and what most people don't know is that you can actually convert your IRA or even your 401k into physical silver rather than having all your life savings tied up in the paper fiat system, which is, of course, subject to hyperinflation. So go to dailyrenegade.com right now and click on the Cornerstone Asset Metals banner and sign up to get your free silver report. One of the financial experts will speak with you and find out the best way to protect your savings going forward in these uncertain times. You can also click on the link in the description below that goes directly to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Make sure you tell them that Josh Peck at Daily Renegade sent you. It is time to stop trusting the evil beast financial system of the world and protect your assets today.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching that. And it's important if you can to invest, try to keep hold of your retirement 401ks, anything like that. And the U.S. dollar is crumbling. So what are we to do? So I think Cornerstone is a great place to start. Even if you're not sure yet, you can just give them a call and get some information. They're not pushy salesmen or anything like that. They'll just talk to you. But anyway, so all that aside, we've talked about this before, but what would be a possible candidate for the next pandemic? It might be maybe this Nipah virus thing. And so this comes from Medical News Today. And again, with everything, just like with the last one, you have to take everything with a big grain of salt. Probably the best way to fight against any of this is just preparedness, like build up your immune system as strong as you can. And there's lots of great information out there on how to do that. But this has been in the news lately. And so this headline, it reads, what is the Nipah virus and what is the risk of a global outbreak? And doesn't this look familiar? There's a bunch of pictures of bats. So it says, just some highlights, 2 new cases of the often deadly zoonotic Nipah virus have been reported in West Bengal, India. A 1998 outbreak of the virus claimed the lives of over 100 people. The virus's unusual modes of transmission make it an unlikely candidate for a worldwide pandemic. But again, you got to take all this with a grain of salt, because they said that it was the way that this is transmitted, the way that this Nipah virus is transmitted and how it spreads to humans, it is exactly what they said with the last one. So it seems like, however likely the last one was to be global, and it was, that this one could be too. The virus is carried by fruit bats, or flying foxes, that infect a popular delicacy, as well as other mammals with whom humans work in the Asia-Pacific region. Doesn't that sound familiar? Remember at the very beginning of the last pandemic, they said it was bats. And that turned out to not be true. So is that happening again, or is it really bats this time? See, this is why we don't know. We don't know because we can't trust any of these people because they lie. In January 2026, India reported 2 new cases of the Nipah virus in the West Bengal area. One of the patients is reportedly showing signs of improvement, while the other is receiving critical care. In one of the last videos, somebody, I don't know if they meant it like this, but they said something in the comments. They said something like, it's just 2 new cases. Like I took it as like, who cares? It's just 2 cases. It might not be anything. It might be nothing. This might fade out of the headlines, and it might not be anything, and maybe it'll be something else later. I don't know. But it's got to start somewhere. You know, and why wait? Why wait till it becomes hundreds or thousands of cases? Even if it's not this specific one, the solution, or at least what we can do to prepare, is going to be the same. And a lot of that is just taking control over our own personal health. But in the meantime, it's good to know what this is all about, just in case this does happen to be the next one. And if it's not, Well, okay, we didn't waste any time because we're still preparing. But it says this often deadly, and what makes this one a lot more scary is just how much worse this is on people, how much more deadly this is than the last one. So again, it says this often deadly zoonotic virus has a fatality rate of between 40 and 75%, raising concerns even when such a small number of cases are reported. Now, just like, and again, I wonder, I don't have a real reason to distrust those numbers. It seems like they're based on real statistics. But with the last one, there were a lot of lies around that, a lot of inflated numbers, a lot of claims that it was way deadlier than it actually turned out to be. Some people did die, yes, for sure. I've known people, and I'm sure you have too. It was deadly, but it wasn't as deadly as they were claiming, and it certainly didn't necessitate all of the restrictions that went on. So William Schaffner, MD, professor at the Division of Infectious Diseases at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, said, quote, if you get the Nipah virus, it is bad. It can cause encephalitis with a high mortality rate, and even if you recover, you are likely to have long-term disability. So fruit bats from the Pteropodidae family, known as the flying foxes, are considered the natural host of the Nipah virus. They are present in different parts of Asia and Australia. However, the virus does not appear to cause disease in fruit bats. Pigs and horses may also carry the virus and are susceptible to illness. Transmission of the virus can occur after consuming fruits or fruit products such as raw date palm juice contaminated by infected fruit bats. So the Nipah virus can also transmit between people through close contact. At present, the World Health Organization, which we just talked about in the first story, assesses the risk posed by the Nipah virus to be moderate at the subnational level and low at the national, regional, and global levels, as there has been no confirmed spread of cases outside India. And again, it's like, can we really trust these people? I don't think so. What's driving the current outbreak? There is a seasonal aspect to Nipah outbreaks, said Prem Prakash, PhD, research scientist with Mahari Medical College, also in Nashville. They tend to peak between December and May. All right, so we know we have a time period here, or at least we assume we have a time period here, maybe after May, if we get through that and there's no pandemic with this specific virus, then maybe it'll taper off and we'll be all right. Because there have been previous outbreaks that were larger than what's going on now, but that doesn't necessarily mean this can't grow larger. So he said, quote, during this winter period, bats experience breeding and nutritional stress from scarce natural food resources, causing them to shed more virus and seek human-planted orchards. In addition, Prakash pointed out, cooler weather in these months prolong the virus's survival in the environment, increasing the risk of indirect transmission through contaminated surfaces or fruits. And finally, the loss of habitat from mass deforestation is pushing fruit bats into closer proximity with human populations. So there have been previous outbreaks, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, let me tell you about my Substack.
I have just started a Substack. What is a Substack, you might ask? It is a place that contains early access to audio-only podcast versions of full daily Renegade videos, plus my personal blog, which includes original articles, show notes, interview transcripts, and so much more. This is the only place to get this amazing resource, and it is not available to the general public. Adding a subscription to my Substack to your daily Renegade membership will ensure that you have full access to every format of everything that I do. So head on over to joshpeck.substack.com or click on the link in the description below to join up now for only $5 a month or $50 a year. And if you can do it, I suggest doing the $50 a year because it's cheaper in the long run, and essentially you get 2 months for free. So I cannot wait to see you there. Take care and God bless.
All right, welcome back. So there have been previous outbreaks of this virus. The largest known outbreak of the Nipah virus occurred in Malaysia's Kampung Sungai Nipah village in 1998. So almost 30 years ago. Approximately 300 pig farmers were infected and over 100 of them eventually died. So almost 30 years ago. And it makes me wonder, too, how much travel was there back then from this area to America and back, and how much is there now? I imagine there would be a lot more now. So maybe back then it didn't have as much of an opportunity to transmit much further outside of this village. But that doesn't mean that it can't today. It also doesn't mean that it will. But anyway, so it says, at that time, it was not known that fruit bats were the primary vector for the disease, and it was likely the case in any event that a significant number of the farmers' pigs consumed partially eaten fruits that had been contaminated by infected bats. To prevent further spread of the virus, millions of pigs were slaughtered. Millions of pigs, geez. Schaffner said, quote, that brought the Nipah virus really into public health attention. There have been outbreaks in Malaysia and India and other Southeast Asian countries from time to time. I am sure it occurred before then, but that is the time the virus first was identified and associated with outbreaks. I am sure the virus has been here for, many, many, many years, end quote. He also noted that serological surveys indicate that pigs are not the only mammals in the Asia-Pacific region that have been infected from fruit bats with the Nipah virus. Again, it seems too coincidental how similar this is to what we were told from the last pandemic, and all of that turned out to be completely wrong. It wasn't bats where that came from, and we found that out later. So is this something? I don't know. What do you think? Is it just a coincidence, or is there something more here? And if there is something more here, what do you think it is? Leave your theories, your ideas in the comment section below, especially if you're on dailyrenegade.com, because YouTube tends to delete comments a lot of times. A lot of times you guys say that you put a comment on and it was respectful, but it got deleted. Many times I don't do that. I mean, if it is like totally disrespectful and it's just being a troll, sometimes I do delete those. But if it's just a disagreement and it's respectfully done, I don't delete those. But YouTube does delete a lot of comments, I've noticed. They also delete subscribers. Many of you have been telling me that you've been subscribed, you click the bell, you hit all notifications, and then just after a while, you don't see notifications on YouTube from me anymore. I've noticed that on my own subscriptions too. My own subscriptions. I've had to resubscribe to a lot of the people that I watch. So that's why it's important to just be a member at Daily Renegade and avoid all this stuff. I really want us all to work together to build up Daily Renegade as much as possible, because there's no censorship there. But especially if you're on Daily Renegade, if you're watching this there and a member, let us know your ideas about it in the community section. But anyway. So how can people reduce the risk of transmission of the Nipah virus? In addition to regular hand washing with soap and water, of course, we're all adults. We know to wash our hands. Again, there's just so much of this that sounds so similar to the last time. Remember when they put up commercials showing people how to wash their hands like we're children? How condescending. Like, we don't know how to wash our hands. We need the government to tell us how to properly wash our hands. But anyway... said the most effective preventative methods include avoiding contact with bats, pigs, or people carrying the virus. That seems obvious. And avoid eating raw date palm sap. If consuming raw date palm sap, it's advisable to boil it first to inactivate the virus. I don't even know if that's a thing that people are doing here in the U.S. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of anybody eating raw date palm sap? I've never heard of it. Maybe it's a thing. So I guess if you're doing that and you're getting it from these areas, don't do that anymore. It says authorities in the, and I know there's more. It's not just the U.S. that watches this show. There's people all over the world that watch this. So if you are in one of these areas, while this is not a common thing where I live, maybe it is in your area, probably best to avoid that. Authorities in the affected region are netting palm trees in an attempt to keep fruit bats away from the trees when sap is flowing. Protective coverings on sap collection pots are also a good idea. That having been said, Prakash said to steer clear of fruits with any suspicious biting or scratch marks that may be contaminated by bat saliva or urine. Preventing infection is more difficult for people working with animals who may encounter fruit bats. Implement biosecurity measures on farms, like separating pigs from fruit trees or bat attracting areas, and quarantine sick animals to prevent amplification of the virus. Use full personal protective equipment, including gloves, gowns, masks, and eye protection when caring for suspected or confirmed patients to avoid exposure to bodily fluids. For medical personnel treating people who have Nipah virus, strict infection controls are definitely warranted. This is one area where human-to-human infection could be of considerable concern, even if it has not been common. Notice how it doesn't say anything about just personal, like building up your own personal immune system. These medical type people tend to not do that because they want you to rely on this. The next thing, is there a vaccine currently available? No, there isn't. Now, is it possible that this whole story is nothing, but they're pushing it out in the headlines now to get people scared to secure funding for a possible vaccine down the line? We always have to think about what the motivation is, and those motivations are usually greedy, to some extent, usually to a high extent. One of the best things that you can do, probably the best thing that you can do that's relatively inexpensive, is just diet, exercise, build up your immune system as much as you possibly can. The healthier you are, the more equipped you are to fight something like this off, even if it does have a higher mortality rate. And I've said before on this channel, Sambucol is a really good product for when you get sick. You can make it at home. You can even just get it at your local Walmart. Sambucol is great. It's just made from elderberries. But there's a lot of other things that you can do too. The best thing is just to be as healthy as you can, and also to listen to your own body. There's not going to be a one fit solution for every human body. Everybody's different. So listen to your own body, what your own body is needing and craving. And I'm not talking about if you're craving fast food to go for that. That's not what I mean. But try different. There's a lot of different supplements you can try, but you got to make sure that you get actual good ones. You don't want to get just garbage that you can get at any store because they pack those with a bunch of fillers and stuff you don't need. Eat good food. Actually, my wife Christina just started an Amazon affiliate thing where she's now helping to she's selling things that we use in our house, like healthy snacks, really healthy stuff. Just look her up, Christina Peck, on Facebook. She's my wife. She's married to me, so you can find her on my friends list, and I share her posts from time to time. But go there, and you'll see her affiliate links. She puts all sorts of really good stuff, good healthy snacks, stuff like that. So there's a lot of bad things to avoid that put extra work on your body, like avoid sugars and a lot of carbs and stuff like that. Plenty of things that we can do to at least give ourselves kind of a fighting chance with some of this stuff. A lot of it is just personal responsibility, but everybody's body is going to be different. Some people, their body works where like a carnivore diet works really, really well for them. Other people can't process meat for various reasons, and they might need to be vegetarian. Me personally, right now, I started right around New Year. Because I went through a horrible period of months, and many of you know that. We don't need to rehash all of it. But during that time, I wasn't taking care of my diet at all. And I mean, we were living in and out of Airbnbs. We just, a lot of times we didn't have, we couldn't really, you're in an Airbnb, you don't want to keep a whole bunch of groceries and things. And we couldn't enter our house, and our son was sick and eventually passed away. And by the way, I want to make mention real quick too. We're doing one final push to try to reach our goal on Give, Send, Go for our son Nathan. He did pass away, unfortunately. But just for any lingering expenses, we have a little bit to go left for that Give, Send, Go. We really want to reach that goal. The link is in the description below, and I've had it up on the screen a few times here. But it's just givesendgo.com/Nathan the Brave. If you would like to help, we would really appreciate that. We want to again do one more final push before we close down the Give, Send, Go. We want to reach that goal, and we're almost there. But anyway, Nathan passed away, which was just absolutely devastating for our family, as I'm sure you can imagine. And just during that time, we were not taking care of our health. It was the last thing on our mind. So for me personally, I put on a bunch of weight and I started having my own health issues. So around New Year, once we were able to get back into our house and things started to settle down a little bit and we had some more stability, I decided to okay, enough's enough. Time to get serious about my own health. So I'm on keto right now, which basically means meat and vegetables. I don't eat any breads, no bread whatsoever. Lots of protein, lots of good healthy protein. And for me personally, again, I'm listening to my body. For me personally, right now, it's a lot of lean protein because I already have enough fat for my body to burn off. I don't need to add more. Now, I do have some fat sometimes, like in steaks and stuff like that. It's important, like your brain runs on that stuff, so you need it. But for me right now, it's mostly a lot of lean stuff and then fruit and vegetables. And before I did this, I hadn't had any fruit in like years. I just never really ate fruit. So I started up doing that again, just eating fruit, and I'm feeling a lot better. I am losing weight, and then I got some exercise equipment too. And I'm one of those kind of people. I don't find exercise fun. I actually hate it. But you got to toughen up. You gotta. It's not all about what we like. Life isn't just about comfort. So I got an exercise bike, treadmill, got some weights, stuff like that. And I'm already starting to see results with it. And I haven't been exercising even as much as I probably should be. So I need to step that up even more than I already am. But again, like what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. It might if we have similar body types, but you know your body better than anyone else. You know what, and just try different things and see what works best. See what gives you the best results. So for another piece of advice I can give with this, and again, I'm not offering medical advice. I have to say that for YouTube. This is just something that's worked for me. But so a couple of years ago, I went back on carnivore because the first time I did carnivore, I lost a lot of weight really fast, like 50 pounds within the first month or first 3 months. So a couple of years ago, I went on carnivore again, and I just was not losing any weight, and I couldn't figure out why. I also wasn't exercising all that much, but the first time I went on carnivore, I wasn't exercising hardly at all because I had just had a knee surgery and everything, and I was losing weight just fine. But this time around, I wasn't. And so I wondered why. And come to find out, so just through trying different things, this time around, my wife said, "Hey, have you?" She started taking beef liver. For her own health, she started taking beef liver supplements, and I was like, "Oh, tell me about that." And she told me all about it, and she said, "Josh, you might want to try that too. That might be why you were having a hard time losing weight before, because if your liver isn't working, if your liver is clogged, you're not going to lose anything no matter what you do." So I said, "Okay, well, let's give it a shot." I had never tried that before, beef liver supplements. So I did. I tried it and went on keto at the same time, so it's not even full carnivore like it was before. Just went on keto at the same time, and I'm losing weight. I'm losing weight just fine. So for me, I just had to try different things and see what works. I tried the beef liver stuff, and so now I'm taking that every day, and it's really good. It's given me some energy. It's given me some motivation that I thought I had lost, and I'm sleeping better. It's one of the things that I've been taking. I also take ashwagandha for like mood regulation and stuff like that because I have I've had depression for years, clinical depression, but I forget what it was. There's a specific word for it. It's something like high functioning clinical depression or something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I've had that anxiety, all sorts of stuff. Well, I started taking ashwagandha. And that's really, really helped. Like, my gosh, I don't have those really dark days anymore that I used to have. There are times where, I'll get a little irritable or get a little low, and then I just take a couple more ashwagandha and it helps. And none of this stuff that I'm talking about right now, it's not psychoactive. It's not like taking drugs or anything like that. But in my opinion, it's way better than taking. For me personally, it's way better than taking prescription antidepressants. Those really messed me up. And I mean, I was so desperate a few years ago that I got on antidepressants, and it was awful. It worked for a little while. It worked great for a little while, but then it really messed up my brain to the point where it took a couple of years to heal that. Maybe someday I'll get more in depth about that and talk more about that. But we're kind of getting off track. I mean, it has to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about how to make ourselves healthy so we can hopefully be in the best position if we happen to contract either this virus or something else. We want our body to be in the best position to fight that off. And these are just some things that I found. But again, everyone is different. Your body's going to be different than mine. It's important to try all that. And of course, and it's just, I have to say it because of YouTube, but it is, make sure you talk with your doctor about this, or if you can find like a healthcare, an all-natural healthcare practitioner or something like that. I'm blessed enough that I have a wife who's into all that, so she's basically my doctor at this point. But anyway, yeah. So check out Christina Peck's stuff on Facebook. You'll find some good stuff, and I'm sure she's going to be sharing more in the future. She just got into this, so you can keep up to date with her. But anyway, so that's stuff that in this section, how can people reduce the risk of transmission of the Nipah virus? You're not going to hear this from a lot of healthcare, a lot of big pharma, like medical healthcare professional type people, because it's not beneficial to them. It's not financially beneficial to them if you just take care of yourself through diet and exercise. What they're going to push is this here, like they did last time, which I did not partake in. My family did not partake in that last time. And but anyway, is there a vaccine currently available? There is no approved vaccine for the Nipah virus. This is not so Schaffner said, quote, "This is not a common illness, so there is not a great incentive to create either a vaccine or a specific treatment. Science sometimes follows the financial gradient," end quote. And there it is. Do you wonder, is this why? This quote right here, is this why this is in the news all of a sudden? Is it just purely financial to try to gin up enough fear so they will develop a vaccine for this? I don't know. I can't say for sure one way or another, but I certainly don't trust any of these people in charge of this stuff. And it would not surprise me. But again, we don't know that for sure, so we have to be aware of the information. Prakash, nonetheless, cited, quote, "promising progress being made by the University of Oxford that has launched the world's first phase 2 clinical trial of a Nipah virus vaccine candidate in Bangladesh," end quote. He also reported, quote, "an experimental monoclonal antibody called M102.4, which has shown strong promise in animal studies and limited human use, but which is not yet widely approved or available. More research labs need to pitch in order to contribute more potent drug or vaccination solutions in the future at a large scale." What work is going on into creating treatment? The treatment is entirely symptomatic. There are no specific antiviral agents that work for Nipah. Prakash agreed, saying the only option right now is in intensive support care, including oxygen support, mechanical ventilation, management of brain swelling, and fluid balance. While there is no specific treatments for Nipah virus at present, the early diagnosis will promote early supportive care, which can help prevent deaths and complications. Although there are currently no approved drugs or vaccines, Nipah virus infection is a priority. So the WHO has identified Nipah virus infection as a priority disease for the WHO Research and Development Blueprint. As such, a range of candidate products are under different stages of development. And that's what, if the WHO is looking at this, that makes me wonder if that connects with that first story we looked at. Is the recent outbreak a cause for concern? Following the global pandemic, the previous one, the HWO listed a list of high priority pathogens with the potential to cause future harm. The Nipah virus was included on that list, highlighting that health authorities are aware of the virus potential risk. However, the HWO currently considers the risk of national or global spread of the Nipah virus to be low. People who have Nipah virus are not likely to be asymptomatic and out among other people or traveling, as was the case, for example, with COVID-19. I hope that by me just saying that, I didn't just nuke this YouTube video. We'll see. I kept saying the previous pandemic, and I just slipped up and said it, so we'll see. Is another quarantine situation likely? Schaffner said, I don't think so. I think these are going to be very unusual events, sporadic, unusual events. End quote. As evidence of this, noted Prakash, quote, the recent Nipah virus outbreak in West Bengal, India, with only 2 confirmed cases and no further infections detected among 196 contacts, has been effectively contained through contact tracing, testing, and isolation measures. All right, so that is basically the story. If it's true, it's good news that people are not typically asymptomatic, which means when you get it, you just have symptoms and you're not going to be traveling. Hopefully that's the case, but again, you have to take everything these people say with a grain of salt, and they just can't be trusted, so who knows. As always, I want to know what you have to say about this. As I said before, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and please head on over to dailyrenegade.com for a lot more, and it's not only you get full videos there, but you get early access. I always post there first. Usually videos that go up on Daily Renegade first, they don't go up on YouTube for a few more days. I never post on YouTube first, ever. I always post first on Uscreen. It's dailyrenegade.com to you, but it's for me, the provider is Uscreen that provides the service. So, but daily, I always upload there first. dailyrenegade.com. Here's some more information about that. And until next time, love you all. Take care and God bless.
If you are a Bible-believing Christian who opposes the kingdom of darkness trying to run the world right now, then you are a renegade to the satanic system. We here at Daily Renegade wear that badge proudly. So, if you're a renegade as well, head on over to dailyrenegade.com right now and get a membership today. You'll get our full catalog of Sharpening Report episodes and Daily Renegade update videos on topics such as Bible prophecy, science, technology, the Nephilim, aliens, and so much more. All of our episodes at Daily Renegade are early access, so as a member, you'll get the videos before anyone else does. Daily Renegade also offers videos not available anywhere else due to social media censorship. We also have a community page only for members where we can all fellowship together without fear of censorship. It's basically the best of Facebook and YouTube rolled into one without any of the garbage. Memberships are only $10 a month or $100 a year, and if you can do it, I suggest getting the $100 a year because it's cheaper in the long run, and essentially you get 2 months for free that way. So come join our family of renegades at dailyrenegade.com right now. The link is in the description below, and we'll see you there.